Hello, everyone. Juxtaposition here. Today's video will be entitled Part 10, Biotechno-Enslavement, Enemy at the Gate, end paren. Reference materials to help guide me through today's video. Sadly, Sabrina Wallace is not here to join us in 10 days since we did Part 9 of the Biotechno-Enslavement video series. We intend to continue on. So we're wishing Sabrina Wallace a quick return to the program, but it's been 10 days, so the show must go on, as they say in Hollywood, or as they say on Broadway, the show must go on. So I assure you that the NATO, World Economic Forum, International Telecommunications Union, the Institute for Electrical and Electrical Engineering, they're continuing to work 24/7, building out the prison system that we are in through no fault of our own. Situation that we find ourselves in through no fault of our own. Anyway, I am not sanguine about the situation which the World Economic Forum ambiguously refers to as the biodigital convergence. Here at the Juxtaposition channel, we just call things what it is, techno-enslavement. And Sabrina Wallace has done a fabulous job at the Synergy channel, where she has indicated that it's a molecular level of techno-enslavement. Biology, it's microbiology, it's nanotechnology, it's electrical engineering, it's electronics, it's photonics, it's light. They've weaponized light, they've weaponized sound, they've weaponized electricity and electromagnetic frequency and resonance. So if you're at all confused, you're going to need to do a boatload of homework. You're going to have to become knowledgeable about MRI machines at hospitals, which are magnetic resonance imaging. Need to know about CT scanners, computerized tomography. The reason that the biodigital convergence not appear on television or mostly on social media or newspapers is because it's a secret. It's a secret in that the controllers, which is Switzerland, you don't live in a democracy, you don't have a government, you are delusional enough to think you have a government, or that the government controls licensing of doctors or accountants or people that paint your nails. What do you call that? A cosmetologist. You think the government is in charge, you should get another 3 cases of vodka. Switzerland is in charge of the licensing of judges, barristers, lawyers, attorneys. Attorneys can appear in a courtroom. Lawyers can, but they are not allowed to speak. Lawyers cannot speak out loud. They can whisper, but they can't speak out loud. They cannot address the judge or the court. Attorneys can. So they're members of the guild. Barristers, the bar, the BAR, the Maritime Law Semi-Secret Society. As all courts in the world, without exception, operate under maritime law, meaning the captain's in charge and we all follow orders or people die. It's just that simple. There's no constitution, there's no constitutional law, there's no Bill of Rights, there's no First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third Amendment, Fourth Amendment. You're hallucinating on LSD or vodka. Anyway, I am not sanguine about the situation regarding this techno-enslavement problem because we're much further along than I thought we were. When I started getting into this research, which was happening during the COVID operation, the COVID hoax, meaning that when I say hoax, I mean there was no virus that universally, simultaneously affected every zip code on the planet Earth. That's technically impossible. However, wherever radio frequencies go, which would be radio, television, your mobile phone, your cellular towers, your 5G towers, wherever cellular towers go, fake news can go. And COVID was fake news. Now, does that mean but I don't believe that people died or got sick or had flu-like symptoms, influenza. They were feeling nauseous and vomiting. No, I never said that. That's like when I said Lance Armstrong was a doper as a cyclist. Everyone then piled on me and said, "How do you know unless you're doing it too? And why should I believe you?" And I never said he was a doper by himself alone. I mean, they all are 100%. Everybody on his team, everybody he races against, they all know where to get their drugs. They all know what doctors, or should I say plumbers, what plumbers to see to get the best results. The more experienced, the better, since they could kill you if you're not careful. Anyway, I'm not sanguine because I had no idea until I delved into this, and then, of course, ran into Sabrina Wallace at the Synergy Channel, that it was far deeper and more ubiquitous than I feared. Remember, as John Kennedy said to a group of newspaper reporters, journalists, publishers at the Waldorf Astoria Hotel back in April 27th, 1961. I don't know if you remember where you were in April 1961. This is just like 10 days after the Bay of Pigs hoax invasion, the invasion that was never really supposed to be successful, a planned failure. Anyway, John Kennedy gave a speech in front of these fake journalists, people in the fake news business, where he flattered them and drew them in, and then he bitch slapped them and talked about secret societies, or what he should have said is semi-secret societies. But there are secret societies, and we don't know who they are, what they are, and who's a member because they're secret, right? We only know about the semi-secret ones. But the point is that he said it's infiltration, not invasion, that it's guerrillas by night, not armies by day, that it's subversion, not free choice, right? Bullying, threatening, fear-based. Well, wasn't that COVID? Wasn't that COVID? Wasn't that a little taste of your own medicine? What do you think that NATO did in Vietnam with the French and then with the Americans, the fake Americans? What did we do? We had the Strategic Hamlet program. We had the Cords program, which everybody knows what Cords means, right? I always memorize it and then I quickly forget, right? Uh, Vietnam is a good metaphor to use because everything that the American Army, Navy, Air Force, CIA, intelligence community for NATO, everything that was done in Vietnam is being done in Canada and America and Australia and continental Europe today. Or Civil Operations and Revolutionary Development Support. Now, that's an ambiguous acronym, CORDS, Civil Operations and Revolutionary Development Support. It means the opposite of what it sounds like. It sounds like that a bank authority wants to help the insurgent revolutionary resistors against an imperial authority, wants to help them succeed in their civil war. The Civil War being against France or America. But that's not what it means to the people who ran Cords, which is William Egan Colby. For William Colby, civil operations and revolutionary development support means pacification and control of the Native people. It means how the Spanish handled the Native American Indians in Alta California. It exterminated them. It eradicated them. It assimilated them into Roman Catholicism and enslaved them on mission farms. And those who refused were murdered. They were drowned, beaten, hung, bayoneted, and done away with. That's what Cords is. And before Cords, there was the Strategic Hamlet program, where they intimidated, kidnapped, tortured village elders, the mayor, the city council, the village council, to reinforce fear so that the peasants will be pacified and controlled. So the Strategic Hamlet program was about pacification and control. It was followed up later by the Civil Operations and Revolutionary Development Support, which had as one of its departments the Phoenix program. And Phoenix is political assassination, terror, torture, and a emphasis on pacification and control, where key influencers in a village were kidnapped, taken to an interrogation center, and then had bamboo slits put up their fingernails, or they had electroshock treatments, electrocution performed. They were doped, they were cut, they were tortured, and 26,000 of them were murdered. There were at least 85,000 that were kidnapped and tortured, 85,000. And William Colby testified to a Senate subcommittee, the Frank Church Committee, that they identified 0 Viet Cong communist enemy. So, but he did admit to killing 26,000 innocent civilians. Didn't get into how exactly they did it, but he did admit to 26,000. So I think the locals say the number is more like 40,000. Let's not quibble, right? I mean, isn't it immoral to murder 26,000 innocent civilians minding their own business under the guise that bank authority imposed upon the 44 provinces of Vietnam and the 16,000 villages and hamlets? They had 16,000 villages and hamlets that the CIA and NATO was asserting its will, its authority upon 16,000 villages and hamlets, 44 provinces, 250 districts. We have that situation going on everywhere in the world. Everything's divided into bank districts. All the central bankers of that district report to centralized authority for the fake nation. That fake nation central bank then reports to Basel, Switzerland, Bank for International Settlements in Switzerland. So if you're wondering who really controls Phoenix program, political assassination, murder, targeted individuals, democide, which is the mass killing of innocent civilians, and targeted individuals, which is assassination and murder. If you're wondering who runs that program, who runs Phoenix, who runs Gladio in Europe, who runs, and by the way, Gladio functions in Beverly Hills and Holmby Hills, Los Angeles also. If you wonder who runs the courts program, Civil Operations and Revolutionary Development Support, you wonder who ran the Strategic Hamlet program, the answer is always Geneva, Switzerland. Always Geneva, Switzerland. If you wonder who ordered the beheading of Sir Thomas More, former Lord Chancellor of England, that would be Swiss Bank Authority. You wonder who remote controlled King Henry VIII, it would be Swiss Banking Authority, because England cannot function without banking. It cannot function without banking. You cannot be a king of a kingdom. You cannot wage war with France unless you have financial support. You can only tax your citizens so much before it maxes out, and you can't squeeze any more lemon juice from the lemon, right? That's the idea of taxation. Property taxes, sales taxes, income taxes, tariffs, business licenses. Anyway, I knew that we had HARP, which is High Frequency Active Arroyal Research Program. I'll provide a link below. I knew we had DARPA, right? DARPA is Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA. I knew we had Palantir. I knew we had Peter Thiel, a German who went to Stanford and now has contracts with NATO, the intelligence communities of all nations, DARPA, which includes smart dust, includes metal particulates to pollute our breathable air and our water and our farm animals. I knew that, but I didn't realize how far along it was. I didn't realize that Dust Networks was really, incorporated back in 2001, 2002, and that they've been working with Coast Aluminum since 2000, 2015 at least. So, that's 10 years that I'm becoming aware of things that happened 10 to 20 years ago. So talk about, it's like you want to do a bicycle race, but you show up at 9 o'clock in the morning and the race went off at 8:05. So you're 55 minutes late. But what do you think should be done? I mean, do you think you're going to win the bike race when you're an hour late? You think that your motorcycle race, which goes off at 10:15, and you show up at 11, you think they should call everyone back and do a do-over because you were late? Not how it works. Show must go on. And it'll go on with or without you. It goes on with or without you. They have Tesla howitzers implanted all over the world, cause earthquakes. I understand West Texas has hourly earthquakes now, cause tidal waves. We have all this smart dust in the air that not only does it infiltrate you personally, but it can modify the weather. It can alter the temperatures. It can make a cold day colder, a hot day hotter. It can make forest fires, burn longer and become impossible to extinguish because of all the aluminum and titanium and agents, incendiaries that are included in the smart dust. It can make a fire kind of have artificial intelligence and act autonomously. We have ELF underground, which is extremely low frequency energy weapon attacks. We have wind warfare, blew out Acapulco, right? Destroyed Acapulco with 170-mile-an-hour winds. We destroyed Lahaina on Maui. We did that with direct energy weapons and fires, precision fires. We have a death grid throughout the world. We have cell phone towers everywhere. We have augmented humans that are vaccinated and boosted. We've got humans that are augmented through the smart dust inhalation and on their skin. So we got human antennas, we got cell phone towers, we got cell phones. People are still carrying their mobile phones around, even though the mobile phone is a weapon. We are on 7G mesh network technology now, but everybody thinks we're on 5G, but we passed by that 4 or 5 years ago, and we went on to terahertz technology, millimeter waves. And when you add all the smart dust particulates, you have 7G mesh. We have microwave radiation. It can cook meat from a distance. What do you think it can do to your brain? It can give you lymphoma cancer. I just had a friend of mine die of lymphoma cancer, age 61. We have non-ionizing form of radiation. We have flu-like symptoms. Some people call it the Havana syndrome. That's what COVID is. COVID is the Havana syndrome. Long COVID is radiation poison. We have polio. We have the Spanish flu. We have the swine flu. We have the Hong Kong flu. We had the bird flu. We had the corona spy satellite virus. Then we had the COVID-19 virus. Now we're planning to have the bird flu come back a second time, because in October this year, October 2024, they're having a bird flu conference in Washington, D.C., a maritime part of District 5 of the Hunger Games. We had the Omicron variant of the COVID. We had the monkeypox. And every time we get a new upgrade on our electronic weapon system, we get a new fake disease. Back in 1999, when we rolled out 3G technology in 1999, everybody was partying like it was 1999. We rolled out cellular towers, upgrades to 3G generation, and voila, we had the West Nile disease. Then in 2002, we upgraded the 3G with LTE, and this created the bird flu. And in 2009, we upgraded to the 4G technology, and voila, we had swine flu. In 2019, we upgraded to the 5G technology and produced the coronavirus, rebranded as COVID, which stands for Certification of Vaccine Identity, Artificial Intelligence for 19. That's a real ID. That's a real ID so that you can be traced, targeted, and tracked. Anyway, today I'm going to read from the book by Ron Johnson. There's little known about who Ron Johnson is. It's not the fake congressman Ron Johnson. It's not him. It's a different Ron Johnson. It's a pretty common name. It's like Joe Smith, right? There might not even be a Ron Johnson. But anyway, supposedly he put together 2 volumes of this book. I'm going to read today from Transhuman Genocide, The Enemy at the Gate, the ultimate guide to direct energy weapons. Ron Johnson also has a second volume, which is called Transhuman Genocide, The Enemy at the Gate, the ultimate guide to EMF shielding, direct energy weapons, and artificial intelligence. I'm not going to look at this book today because I don't have that kind of time. All right, so wish Sabrina Wallace was here, but I'm going to do the best I can with what I got. So let me just tell you some things about the transhuman agenda, which Sabrina Wallace so correctly calls post-humanity. As in other words, if you're augmented and hooked up to the internet and part of the HAL 9000 supercomputer and artificial autonomous management, then you're no longer human and your thoughts are not your own. Just here are some names of some of the corporate international corporations who built out the system that I'm talking about, the techno-enslavement system, the 7G mesh. Lockheed Martin, they're the general contractor on anything to do with technical surveillance. Boeing, they're known for various defense systems. When I say defense, I mean offensive weapons. They are involved with high-powered lasers, microwave-based direct energy systems. Northrop Grumman, they conduct research and development on direct energy weapons, which include lasers and high-powered microwave technologies. That's cognitive electric warfare, if you didn't know. Raytheon Technologies, Raytheon Missile Guidance Systems, they're engaged. Raytheon is engaged in the development of laser and microwave-based direct energy technologies for military applications. Pacify, control, and kill people. MBDA, a European defense contractor, it has an acronym, MBDA. It's involved in research and developing high energy lasers and direct energy weapons. BAE Systems participates in the research and development of direct energy weapons, which include laser-based systems. And we have Rafael Advanced Defense Systems. It's known for work on high energy laser technologies and other energy direct systems. I would add to that list, of course, Palantir, which is artificial intelligence, and NVIDIA of Mountain View, that's involved with artificial intelligence, computation, quantum thinking, quantum machine learning. I would add Genentech, which is involved with the implantation of nanoparticulate devices into human beings. I would add Novartis, which owns Bayer, which owns Chiron, which owns Cetus, which came from the University of California, Berkeley. And we have an unholy alliance between our academics and our science community and our pharmaceutical industry. And we're going to e-medicine, which means you're not going to have to buy drugs at CVS anymore. They will deliver your pharmacy via the microwave internet. I would add Facebook, Meta. I would add Google, 23andMe, DNA collections. I would add YouTube, which is in the poppycock balderdash business. I would add Cisco Systems, LSI Logic, Sun Microsystems, Novell, WordPerfect. I would add United States Navy. I would add Apple Computer. I would add all the microprocessing companies like Cypress Semiconductor. I would add National Semiconductor, Texas Instruments. I would add IBM, Microsoft. I would add Mark Andreessen, Ben Horowitz. I would involve Kleiner Perkins, private banker. I would involve Sequoia Capital, private banker. Excel KKR, private banker. Jim Breyer Capital, private banking. I would put Larry Fink down and BlackRock, private banking. I would put Steven Schwartzman and Blackstone of Manhattan, New York. I put him down. And you do know that Larry Ratfink is a member of the World Economic Forum, with Klaus Schwab. And how lovely that he's the managing director of BlackRock, which conducts private secret banking. Artificial intelligence continues to grow in every domain as it advances toward a beast system, the mark of the beast, 666. We're moving to a cashless society. We're there now, really. Hotels won't take your cash. And you know what? McDonald's won't take cash for a Happy Meal. So McDonald's just switched over to cashless. We're going to digital real IDs, social credit scores, dossiers on every person on the planet, brain chips, 15-minute cities. Donald Trump calls them freedom cities. I call them FEMA camps, detention facilities with cremation ovens. 15-minute cities, these are all on the horizon, meaning they're here now. They're here now. They're building California forever at Travis Air Force Base as I record this message to you. August 3rd, 2024. We have a Freedom City, California forever, being constructed now in real time. It's not going to take them more than a couple of years to get that done. The media doesn't report that. They don't report that we're moving ahead with Freedom Cities. There's no democratic process for that. They don't mention that San Francisco is a ghost town. When I worked in San Francisco, we used to have 1.6 million people Monday through Friday. 700,000 people were residents of San Francisco. At least 100,000 people were tourists visiting. And then we had another 700, 800,000 people who commuted into San Francisco to work. So if this breaks down, we had 800,000 people commuting in, 100,000 tourists staying in the hotels, and then we had 700,000 people that live there, some of whom worked elsewhere. So it was always kind of like a 1.5 to 1.6 million people were in San Francisco Monday through Friday. And it was a paradise. There were hundreds of restaurants. If you spent your entire life going to restaurants, you wouldn't be able to go to all the restaurants that we had. We had every type and shape and size of restaurants and saloons and entertainment. Anyway, that's all gone now, and the media doesn't report that. Ghost town, it's all boarded up. Let me emphasize, San Francisco is all boarded up. I'm including all of Market Street. That's almost 2 miles long. It's 1.5 miles. 3.4 miles of boarded up. The Mission District is mostly boarded up. Most of the financial district is not boarded up, but it's empty. And some of it is boarded up. Okay, where the Transamerica Pyramid is, that building is mostly vacant now. And Tommy Toy's restaurant is gone. And if you go down to the Embarcadero, that is boarded up. The Embarcadero, it's only a few blocks from the pyramid. It's all boarded up. So the only place that isn't boarded up in San Francisco is a couple of blocks in the Marina District and Pacific Heights, which you'd have to have $10 million to live there. Okay? So that doesn't count. The rest of the city is a ghost town. All right. As we struggle to survive in the Hunger Game, you are now in the Hunger Games, if you weren't already aware of that. You are in a modern day Hunger Game district. The forces of evil are positioning themselves for total control of the planet, and they want to assimilate humanity, just like the native people were assimilated by the Spanish and the Swiss. Johann Sutter, right? John Sutter, Captain John Sutter, with no military experience, from Bern, Switzerland. He comes out here to California, gets himself 50,000 acres of farmland on the American River, the Sacramento River, the Yuba River, the Feather River. Builds ranches for cattle raising, alfalfa, rice fields, apricots, almonds. Then he discovers gold on his property. Switzerland. Meanwhile, he's eradicating the Miwok Indians. He's eradicating the native people of California, congruently with what the Spanish want. They want you either to surrender as a slave, to be baptized into the Catholic Church, and work on a California Forever FEMA camp, or be rounded up, murdered, bayoneted, drowned. Much of the world around us has already been controlled by the beast system. It won't be long before this technology assimilates humans into cyborgs. This process of assimilation is just a few short years away, thanks to the brain hacking technologies of Neuralink and Starlink, part of the Elon Musk SpaceX program. and the portfolio of companies attributable to Elon Musk. Elon Musk himself is a moron. He's adult. He's just the face. Jeff Bezos, Bill Clinton, Klaus Schwab, I think even Larry Ratfink. These are the face. If you know their names, Larry Ellison, Scott McNealy of Sun Microsystems, if you know their names, it means they don't make any decisions. That's what they're the media. They're like Donald Trump. They're like Kamala Harris. They're like Robert Kennedy, philanderer Jr. That's what they are. In other words, they're a clown in the circus. They don't make a single decision. And voting for a Robert Kennedy or a Donald Trump or a Kamala Harris is truly a colossal example of pacification and control. It means you don't get it. You don't understand. You're going to a FEMA camp. The Pentagon, which is NATO, is moving toward allowing the artificial intelligence weaponry to autonomously decide which humans to kill. So it's not going to be Dr. Evil in a room. They're going to program an algorithm that's based on your compliance and obedience. So what do you think the chances are a person like myself is going to last long when the robots come to get me? The sad thing about the X factor is that trying to make assimilation happens, there's always collateral accident. Technology companies worldwide are working together to facilitate the artificial intelligence takeover. And it's what the people in the know call the singularity. The singularity, it's a term that astrophysics also used to describe a black hole, which turns out to be very fitting considering that this singularity event will suck everybody in and wipe out organic life as we once knew it. The reason that they're transforming our planet with chemtrails and transforming GMO foods, organic life, into augmented life, GMO chickens, cows, sheep, humans. They're specifically targeting wildlife with mRNA gene altering vaccines, dosing our water supplies with fluoride, and having railroad chemical spills regularly. They do this and so much more because they know our human organs won't be able to survive what's coming next. They try to weaken us as much as possible before they hit us with the coup de grace. Technology industry is a cult. Make no mistake about it. Hollywood is a cult. The banking industry, the private banking sector is a cult. Technology is a cult, and those cults overlap. They're pyramids within pyramids. Mike Williams has made that clear on his channel, Sage of Quay, that you're living in a world managed by occultists who use signs and symbols to rule our world. And they also use diversion, deception, and black magic. All right, let me just continue on. They're going to have compulsory wear a mask or go to jail. That'll be an obvious one to see who's obedient and who is not, right? The masking doesn't have much to do with anything other than a cult ritual. So if you're not in the cult, you'll disobey. If you disobey, they'll arrest you and you'll go to jail, which is code for a cremation oven. All right. They've been playing these games ever since they rolled out electricity. The International Telecommunications Union in Geneva, Switzerland was formed in 1865 when Abraham Lincoln was having his head blown off. We were entering the world of electronic warfare. Today it's called CEW, Cognitive Electronic Warfare. I can't wait till we have the bat flu. We're going to have the bird flu. That's clear. Then they'll have checkpoints on all the roads. There'll be vaccine checkpoints. Have you got your bird flu vaccine? Yes or no? Because they're not going to play the COVID hoax a second time. They're going to morph it back to the bird flu or the bat flu. Got to be batshit crazy to take a vaccine. But if you don't, you're going to be locked down in a very small grid area, and you won't be able to buy groceries at the store because unless you have your bat flu or bird flu virus, you will be denied access to get groceries. Your smart meter of your home will turn your water off. So you'll have no water and no energy. And you'll be arrested by the sheriff. The Masonic sheriff will arrest you at one of the checkpoints that you thought was for drunk drivers, going to be for vax mandate compliance. That's what's coming. I'm telling you this. This is disturbing. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare of direct energy weapons. Weaponizing electronic magnetic frequency will come from every direction, even underground, and can rain down from airplanes, satellites, weather balloons, blimps, drones, CubeSats. While people only worry about their cell towers or their smart meters, other people are trying to survive massive attacks from modern day energy weapons. These weapons have been systematically deployed in every single city, every township, and they've been extended into the rural countryside, even in very remote areas. Governments around the world, I should say, fake governments, as there are no governments. There's only Swiss Bank Authority, but they work through straw dogs. And governments around the world are in Terminator mode, which explains how Arnold Schwarzenegger, Screw Your Freedom, Steroid Boy, Beauty Queen, could be a governor of California, because he appeared in prepping film, Terminator 1, Terminator 2, Twins with Danny DeVito. Those are all about genetically modifying people and creating babies in a laboratory. That's what Twins was about. And you can see they were not identical twins. Arnold Schwarzenegger on steroids is much different than a diminutive dwarf Danny DeVito, right? And Terminator is about cyborgs and the humans who wanted to resist the authority of the Swiss bank. World governments control pesticides, GMO foods, they control fluoride in our waters, and they control our digital money. So they have full spectrum dominance already. They even conduct studies where they come to the false conclusion that the distrusting of your government is unhealthy for you. Okay? In other words, they lie to you all the time. The military industrial complex, as Dwight Eisenhower used to put it, has turned our communities into giant open-air prisons that nobody can escape from. Soon you'll need permission to leave your 15-minute district as they slow kill victims with eugenics programs and their death towers. Victims will experience headaches, nausea, extreme fatigue in the initial phases as part of the softening up process. I've had ringing in my ears for over 2 years. I have persistent headaches, and you should know that for most of my life, I never got a headache. I might get a headache every 9 months, and I did extreme things in sport. So you would think that I would have more headaches than I did. But now I have them even if I don't do anything extreme, because I'm subjected to radiation poisoning. Smart cars, televisions, telephones, refrigerators are all linked up with the augmented vaccinated human antennas to form a mesh network, a hive, a beehive mentality of radiation, weapons, communication. Smart home just means county jail. All right. This is a criminal mind. And I want and urge everyone to know where your bankers live, know where your executive bankers live, know where your private bankers live, because when the shit hits the fan, the only people who could possibly, make a 911 call for you would be your private banker. And you know where they live. They live in a cul-de-sac, always in a cul-de-sac, typically the last home at the dead end cul-de-sac. You know, if they're the last home, that they must be important because they themselves are in a kill box. These are the people who financed all these advanced weapon systems, was the private bankers and the hedge funds. There's hundreds of hedge funds and nobody knows who they are except for me. I know some of them. I don't know all of them. All right. Skynet, Neuralink, Skynet, Starlink, Neuralink. These are all mesh network, trace, track, and target systems. We have a former medical chief who stated he was a chief on behalf of the United States military intelligence services, that cell towers were used to implement mass electromagnetic mind control so that they can remote control human beings. And she stated that electromagnetic weapons can manipulate your thoughts, emotions, and behavior, as well as cause diseases such as lymphoma, cancer. She herself died of cancer all over her body in 2015. Talking about Dr. Rooney Lena Rakinin Kilday. Wish she had a simpler name, but she doesn't. There are shielding strategies that Sabrina Wallace and I will get into later after we've done our due diligence. There's always disease X, right? I mean, bird flu is coming. You know, that's going to come this winter. We're going to have bird flu. Mark my words. Remember what I told you. They're going to have a vaccine. They already have a vaccine for something that in theory hasn't even happened yet, right? Of course, we did have bird flu, you know, in the early 2000s when we rolled out 3G cell towers. Then we had bird flu then. So we're going to do a do-over on that in 2024-25. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here, but just people, please, I don't want to have to do any more videos on Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, Sugar Baby for Willie Brown. I don't want to talk about Robert Kennedy Jr., a complete and utter fraud. Anybody who believes in those people, anybody's going to vote for those people, get off my channel. Get the heck off my channel, because you are the enemy. You are the enemy. Your neighbors are going to rat you out. And it doesn't serve any purpose to argue with an idiot. Don't argue with imbeciles and idiots. Just quietly go about your business, because these people are going to rat you out to the Gestapo, the thought police in your neighborhood. All right. Well, anyway, I wish it was a more uplifting show today, but that's what happens when Sabrina's not here. Good day. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.